So my most embarrassing experience was most undoubtedly the time where I first went on the Weather Channel, my first ever live hit on national TV. It all started because I wrote a blog on a volcanic eruption that took place in the tropics. Now this was before the Big Tonga event, a number of years ago, um, and I'm not an expert in volcanoes. You know, I didn't sugarcoat that in the blog. I just talked about statistics and essentially how this compared to historical events. But at the time, this blog was for energy trading, and so they like to hear these types of, odd types of weather events or national, I guess you could say natural events, and it got picked up eventually by the public side of my company at the time, which was the weather company, and that ended up getting pushed to the Weather Channel, where the Weather Channel called, the head of our PR and said, "Hey, we want Mike to come on camera and give an expert opinion on this volcano." And so the head of PR called me at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning and said, "Hey, Mike, we want you to go on camera on the Weather Channel and talk about the volcano." I'm like, "I'm not a volcanic expert. Why do I go on that and do that?" They said, "Hey, you wrote the blog. They really liked it. They want you to go on." So I agreed, and I ended up going on camera, and I completely blacked out. I don't remember what I said. I don't remember if I answered the questions coherently. I mean, I wasn't an expert in volcanoes, so why am I going on doing this? And I remember feeling immense embarrassment after that experience, my first national TV hit, and I completely just, I crapped the bed, right? So, after that experience, I called back my head of PR and I told her, "Listen, I am an expert in the tropics. I am never going on TV again and talking about something that is out of my expertise because I just don't feel comfortable in doing it." So that is my experience, and I learned from it, and I've continued to move forward and kind of lick my wounds and understand when I don't feel comfortable to say no. It's important in your career.
Yeah, most embarrassing moment. So yeah, when I was asked this, I think one of the first things that came to mind for me was when I was a graduate student at Stony Brook University. I was asked to give a talk at the Stevens Institute, and that was around my thesis work at the time, or at least components of my thesis work. So I'm nervously awaiting joining this talk, this conference. And the night before, I remember making some pretty big changes to the presentation. I was changing some of the content, changing the slide orders, just kind of going through those last minute edits. And I did that really the night before into the next morning as well. So there, I'm there. I'm at the Stevens Institute. I think I was one of the last presentations to go, actually. So I'm there, kind of anxiously waiting to go up. And eventually, it was my turn, and I bring up the presentation, and I'm starting to talk through some points again related to my thesis. And then I'm kind of looking up at the slides. I'm like, wait, that's not the correct slide. That's not supposed to be there. And then I'm like, wait, that content isn't supposed to be up there. And I kind of had to catch myself, like, I brought up the wrong version of my presentation. I brought up kind of the previous version instead of the new one that I edited. So I kind of had to stop the talk momentarily and go and bring up the correct version. And I was able to do that, and everything was fine. But definitely in the moment was pretty embarrassing.